The article we're talking about deals with two women who are in a relationship together. The one woman had her egg fertilized and then it was implanted into the other woman who later gave birth to a little girl. The birth mother, after the couple broke up, took the child away and the egg donor mother tried to get custody of the child. The birth mother tried to use the law that says that the egg donors give up all rights to the child, but the courts didn't think it applied in this situation because each woman came into this planning to raise the child, and it wasn't an anonymous donor. Later on, after taking it to the courts again, it was decided that there would be split custody between the women and that the child would be able to see both of them. The ethical theory that we believe applies to this case is social contract theory, which is saying that like moral obligations that we would agree to already and that giving up some freedoms allows more freedom, so kind of like compromise. It involves more or less the same power to each person involved in the social contract. Each person is better off than they would be without the contract, and then that each person is going to be fully informed of all the details within the social contract.
Social contract theory applies to this case because both women knowingly went into this agreement, giving up something for the benefit of something else. The wife A gave up her egg and got it fertilized and donated it to her partner, which is wife B, who gave up her body and carried the child for 9 months and gave birth, so they can then have a family unit and benefit from that. So that shows them engaging in a social contract theory.
They engaged in the social contract because each one of them gave up their full right to the child by like one providing one part and one providing the other part in order to benefit, like in order to receive a family unit.
Mm-hmm. And for this case, by them engaging in that social contract, they should have established some guidelines if they were to ever separate. Just because them both bringing a child into this world and both having partial custody, and under the eyes of the law, one may not have any custody over the child just because she's the donator and she gave up her rights, and the other one is the birth mother. They should have had plans set in place so that way they can so they wouldn't have to go to the courts. They should have had something along the lines like, oh, we'll split custody, or you carried the child, you can have the child, or you don't. This is your this is your
right.
egg, your DNA, like she's your child, or something along those lines, so where they could have avoided going to the courts in the first place.
Because they entered into a social contract, they should have known that like they needed to set out like if one of them wanted to dissolve the relationship, what would happen. So that it could be settled before it went through the courts, because that's what ended up happening in the end anyways, is like custody, they both got custody of the child. So it should have been addressed before because they should have known.
And you can relate it back to our government. We as United States citizens, we have a social contract with our government. We give up certain rights so that way we can receive protection and benefits from our government. And that's basically what they did. They gave up certain rights so they can receive benefits from gaining a child.
Right.
Like if you break a law, it's written like you'll serve time. So.
Right. So they should have had like a written agreement that if one of them wanted to dissolve the partnership, that this is what would happen. Much like in our government, when you like murder someone, then you receive life in prison. It's kind of can equate to the same thing. Like if one of us wants to separate, we both get custody of the child, or the biological mother gets custody of the child. Because when you enter into a social contract, you have to understand like you're giving something up in order to gain something, but like that can't always be beneficial all of the time for everyone, which I think is why this theory applies